This past Friday, I had the ability to go down to Blacksburg and attend the Mayor Bloomberg's No More Names tour, this Mayors Against Gun Violence type tour. Anyhow, there was Mayor Bloomberg's group and consequently a pro-gun group as well, mostly the people from the Virginia Citizens Defense League. Anyhow, I went down there because I've never really been to much of any gun protest myself before. I've seen a gun rally or two and so forth, but nothing like this. So I was expecting just people chanting and loudness and so forth. That's just honestly what I expected out of this event. When I got there at about 10:30, there were probably 20 anti-gunners and 30 Virginia Citizens Defense League members and various other pro-gun advocates. I was surprised at how civil it was. Granted, the event, the No More Names tour, they were standing up there reading off John Doe, Detroit, Michigan, killed by a gun, and they kept using that template throughout their speech. And so I thought, as we do a lot of videos and stuff with the 11 Bravo group, I decided to break out the camera and interview different people. I wanted to get just perspectives of the pro-gunners, the anti-gunners, and so we just picked 3 basic questions. I jotted them down. What is the Second Amendment? What was its original purpose? And is it relevant to today? We jotted these questions down and intended to ask both pro and anti-gun folks just to get an idea of their perspective. The way we approached people, we went up and we said, we've got a couple questions. We're here independently. Just want to know your perspective on this issue. And just here's the 3 questions. Would you be willing to answer them? And pretty much everybody, initially said yes. So with that, we pulled out a microphone and the camera and said we'd like to film these 3 questions. And so, as you'll see in a minute, we had several people answer those questions. Well, then we decided to move on over to the anti-gun, so to speak, crowd and ask their opinion. We did the little intro and showed them the questions. They asked who we were with. We told them, it's 11 Bravo training, firearms training group, but we're here neither with the VCDL or anybody else, the news media. It's just our own thing. So it's something we can put up on our website. And they were willing to answer the questions off camera, but every single person I asked on their side ultimately said, we were told not to talk. We were really told not to talk at all, but we'll talk to you off camera, but we're told not to talk. And I said, or you don't have to speak for nomorenames.org or whoever you're with, just your own personal opinion. Because granted, I can understand, people not being able to speak for their certain group. The VCDL people were clear in that too. We can't speak for the VCDL, but we can speak on our own personal accord, our own opinion. And that's all we're asking. We made that very clear, but pretty much asked every one of the anti-gun people that I could, are you willing to answer these questions? And they all said we were asked not to speak, even on their personal accord. I even went up to what appeared to be like the head guy organizing this thing, and the same thing. He went a little further to say that the only person that is allowed to speak is the guy in New York. So I don't know. I thought it was a little ridiculous. So I wish this video was a little more two-sided, but all we got were these interviews, which we'll cut to now.
What is the Second Amendment?
I would say the Second Amendment is the people's insurance policy against a tyrannical government. And the secondary purpose will be to protect yourself.
Protect yourself. What is the original purpose of the Second Amendment?
The original purpose will be to protect yourself from government tyranny.
Excellent, excellent. And the third question we have is it relevant to today's society from where it originated?
It's more relevant now than ever.
We have a growing police state in this country, and the relevance of the Second Amendment grows in its importance every day.
The Second Amendment is a protection of some rights that we have from birth, which is the right to defend yourself. And the Second Amendment enshrines that, basically telling the federal government and now local governments as well to keep their hands off of it.
Yeah, excellent. What is the original purpose?
Well, the original purpose was threefold. Our founding fathers wrote a lot of documents when they were putting together the Bill of Rights. And on the Second Amendment, it was self-defense. Because if you can't protect your own life, it's not worth anything. And life is valuable, and the Founding Fathers felt it was such. So self-defense, defense of the country. If the country were attacked, they wanted to make sure that people could muster and defend the country. And the third was defense against a tyrannical government. The Founding Fathers were very frightened that our government at some point could become tyrannical, and they wanted the people to have a way to get their country back to being a free country again.
Excellent, excellent. And is it relevant to Second Amendment? Is it relevant to today's society?
Absolutely. People don't change. There's still good and evil out here. There always will be. And this protects us, again, we can protect ourselves because we have plenty of crime and we always will. We again, helping the government, if Al-Qaeda were to strike and do something horrible, you could be in a position where the police couldn't respond. 911 might not be there. People would then be able to protect their own neighborhoods and hold everything together until the government could get back on its feet. And the third would be if the government were to turn tyrannical. There's an awful lot of things right now going on that are making people shake their heads in a very concerned way about where our government's heading. And ultimately, it would be the final card that we would have to play, and hopefully we never will, that would be required to reset the government back to being one for free people.
No, that's excellent, excellent. I had just one interesting question. Like myself, I have a reason that I carry a firearm. But is there like an instance in your life that inspired you, having a firearm maybe diffuse the situation, or you may even had not used it, but like a positive from that?
Well, several things. I was a deputy sheriff, a volunteer for 6 years from the time I turned 21 until I was 27 in Texas. Because as an officer, it was rare for us to get there in time to stop certain things. They just happened too fast. And so I learned that self-defense was critical and that people should be allowed to do that.
Is a gun-free zone something that, does it work?
No, and that's on the top of our list this year coming around to get rid of gun-free zones. All the high body counts, when they're reading off these names, a whole lot of them took place in gun-free zones. It only makes sense. Once the criminal gets in there, he's got control. Nobody can stop him. He just takes his time and kills one after the other after the other. There was a mall in Oregon that showed how it works the other way. The criminal went into a gun-free zone in a mall with a rifle, shot 2 people, his rifle jammed. Unfortunately for him, a permit holder didn't see the signs and carried into the mall not knowing it was a gun-free zone. And when the permit holder drew down on the bad guy trying to clear his jammed rifle to kill more people, he saw that gun pointed at him and he killed himself, and the mass shooting was over with 2 dead because the permit holder didn't see the gun-free zone sign. If he had seen it, the story might have been very different. A lot more people killed in that mall. This was in Oregon right in December, right before the shooting in Connecticut.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And can I have one more question? This comes to like education. Education is pretty important. What do you recommend for individuals out there, both sides, as far as education and firearms?
Well, I think everybody should get educated in firearms, at least understand how they work and how to handle them safely. I don't think it should be mandated by the government, but I would highly recommend that people learn firearm safety. I think schools should teach it regularly, like in 8th grade or something. I mean, you teach children not to look both ways when they cross the street. They want schools teaching them about sexual education, but they don't want to educate them on guns. And the guns are a part of our culture, and I hope they always will be. And I think schools should do it.
Well, that probably gives you an idea of the type of people out there fighting for your gun rights. We saw Philip Van Cleve and some other VCDL members there. After talking with this group and seeing how they handled themselves with the other people there, especially some of these people being victims' family members and stuff, just how genuinely kind they treated them and how civilly they spoke to each other. For lengthy periods of time, I saw little small groups, little factions meeting and talking. I thought that was real neat. And the fact that when I was speaking to this Sandy Hook victim's father just about differing ideas, guy came up and shook his hand and said, "Thank you for your time, and we're praying for your safe travels." I really was amazed by the civility of this group. And then learning more of them this past Monday, they were over here in Newcastle where we're at and had a meeting, and just to hear how much and how well and how effectively they are fighting for our Second Amendment rights. I've really fell in love with this group. So anyhow, I encourage anybody in Virginia that is looking to preserve the Second Amendment rights and just see more logical and better decisions made out there as far as the issue of guns and gun control and so forth. I encourage you to check them out. Virginia Citizens Defense League seem like a great group. They've got most of the important legislature you've seen passed in the past since 94, 95 has been largely bolstered by their efforts. So with that, hopefully the next time we go out to one of these rallies, we can get a more two-sided video together, but that's what we got this time.